Welcome in to SportsBookReview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the College Football Show off-season week number 3. That's right. So we are rolling through 31 weeks of off-season, but we are going to have games. We talked about this a little bit last week.
Yeah.
We got FCS games coming up towards the end of February.
Yes, sir.
So I'm a little bit excited about that. Of course, we've got National Signing Day coming up this week. We are recording this on Monday night. Just go ahead and let everybody know. Because I believe it will be released on Wednesday on National Signing Day. Correct. So we are going to have news to discuss. We do this show once a week, but go ahead and give you guys an idea of when we record, why some of the news is a little later, news is a little early, all that kind of stuff. So either way, do us a favor. Right now, since you're watching anyway, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure that you hit subscribe for us. And once you get done with that, head over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. That is your one-stop shop for all of your college football gambling information needs. Did I say that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, so let's talk about what is going on in the world of college football right now. Obviously, the biggest news of this past week was Tennessee hired UCF head coach Josh Heupel. He is not who I thought that they would go after.
No, he wasn't on anybody's list. I don't think anybody who was projecting Tennessee coaches had him on the list.
No. And part of that would be because it would seem that maybe things have gone a little downhill at UCF, and I don't know that that's necessarily fair. But obviously,
I didn't have him on a list. I didn't have him on a list because I can only speak for me. I can't speak for how other people see it. Because I didn't think Tennessee was as good of a job as UCF right now.
I don't think it is.
It's not if all things are equal. The problem is all things aren't equal. SEC money changes everything. And when you're going to get double the salary almost over a 6-year contract.
Oh, yeah.
That says, you know what? It might not be as good of a job, but we're going to find out if I can turn it into a great job or not, because that's a payday. It's a lot. I talk about this all the time, but some of these smaller coaches, we talk to Jamie Chadwell, these other guys, they're making in the hundreds of thousands and cracked that $1 million yet. They're holding lottery tickets.
Oh, yes.
It's irresponsible to not cash it. Josh Heupel was holding a lottery ticket when his buddy Mr. White called.
So let's talk about that. Obviously, Danny White, the AD from Central Florida, goes to Tennessee the week prior.
Yep.
They start calling a bunch of names. There's links to James Franklin, to PJ Fleck, to Sonny Dykes, to all of these different coaches, Tony Elliott over at Clemson. A lot of different ways that we thought that this search might go. Everybody, we originally thought Hugh Freeze.
Yep.
But you can't really do that when you fire a coach for recruiting violations.
You can do anything you want. You think these people
can.
don't explain away all the bull crap?
Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina. We thought it could go a number of different ways. Never would have assumed that he would bring the guy with him that he hired at Central Florida. Now, part of that is because Heupel's record is good.
Yeah.
28-8 at UCF, but he went 12-1 to 10-3 to now 6-4 this year. However, this year, while the fans, and we'll talk about this here in just a minute, while the fans may not be too upset that Heupel is leaving, he still did a really good job there.
I think Heupel's a very good coach. I think this is a very good hire for Tennessee. They need to tamper down their expectations.
Yes, and so that's the other side of this.
This
Nobody
is where
was
you
taking
are
the
in
job.
the world.
Yeah, nobody was going to take that job.
It's an unstable job. You just did an internal investigation on your own coach so you could fire him. Anybody worth their salt in the world would say, I'm not going to play there.
Yeah.
So
or not going to coach there.
I'm going to coach there. I'm just not going. And therefore that takes a lot of candidates out or people you have to grossly overpay. I don't think they overpaid Heupel. I think Heupel's getting paid what his level of SEC coach is normally going to make. And I think he's done a really good job. I don't knock him for the losses that he's had in the going down, because the American has gone up. It's not that UCF is doing anything worse. Cincinnati, Memphis, and SMU and Tulsa have greatly taken massive leaps over the last 3 to 4 years.
Oh, most certainly.
I'm talking disgustingly gross leaps in how bad they were, or not how average they were, to where they are right now.
So let's
that's not
that.
on UCF.
No, absolutely. The other side of this is, since Heupel got there, the recruiting has gone downhill, right? And everybody wants to talk about the fact that, I can't believe you'd be running Heupel off, whatever. And it's not that they were running him off. Obviously, he bounced to a better job.
Yeah.
Not a better job, but a higher paying job.
Much higher paying
job. He bounced to a higher paying job. He did well enough, but
it's a bigger job.
But he got out of town before the whispers became shouts, right? And there are some parallels to be drawn to Brian Harsin at Boise State. There's a lot of people at Boise State that were not upset that he took the Auburn job. They all looked at it and said, okay, now we can go get somebody that we really believe in. Both of those coaches did fine jobs at Boise and UCF. At UCF, the Heupel stuff, everybody talks about how, this was an 0-12 program when Scott Frost took it over. And that is factually true.
Yes.
I was talking to the guys from the College Football Nerds last night, and we started going back through, and they said, yeah, but this program was in the dumps when Frost took it over, and now it's headed back towards that direction. I said, whoa. Look,
10 wins.
Since 2010, UCF had 6 10-plus win seasons. It was 2013 that they had a 12-1 season.
Yep. And
then they went to 9-4 the next season, and then in 2015 they went over. And then 2016, of course, 6-6 under Frost, and then you go 13-0, 12-0, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was 13.
But that program has had more 10-win seasons than they have had losing seasons. They've had 8 wins or more in 8 out of 10 seasons.
Tell them what I tell these spoiled SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Big boy teams. Tennessee's one of them, by the way. It's not your God-given birthright to have 10 wins every year. The first time your coach goes 9-4, you don't get to stand up. When he's never done it before, by the way, he's never not won 10 games, you don't get to stand up and shout at him.
Yes.
Your expectations are foolish.
You are correct. The recruiting aspect is another part that people are concerned about, obviously, because at Tennessee, you're going to have to be able to recruit.
At Tennessee, you're going to have to be able to recruit.
They went from number 1 in the AAC in Heupel's first season, which was technically a recruiting class that was put together by Scott Frost.
That's right.
So that class was number 1 in the AAC. Now, I didn't even look up the national stuff because we're looking at a vacuum here, right?
That's right.
The next year, Heupel's first season, so they go, after his first season, his 12-1 season, they went number 7 in the AAC. And then it was number 4 in the AAC. And this year, obviously, it's not finished yet, but it's, upper third, roundabout. But this is a program that should be top up there with Cincinnati every time.
Yeah, I mean, they really should dominate. Being in Florida, they really should dominate recruiting from the other schools.
So that is something to be worried about if you are a Tennessee fan is, okay, what are we doing here, right? Like, is this somebody that's going to want to come in and actually recruit? They've gotten rid of Jim Chaney. They got rid of, I believe, the defensive coordinator already. Like, who knows? Kevin Steele got paid $900,000 for 2 weeks of work. Like, $450K a week would make him the highest paid college football coach of all time. So I don't know how this man keeps doing this. It's insane to me. But that is the way that it goes right now. I'm confused. I don't know. We'll see. Because
we're still. I mean, anybody who's making a judgment on this hire right now is just insane.
Yeah,
I understand recruiting is a big part of the job in college football. I get it. You're not winning a national championship. We're immediately trying to compare him to Alabama, Georgia, Clemson. And I'm thinking, this is a team that won 3 games. Like, can we just try to get him to a point where we're like comparing him to other 6-6 schools?
UCF is number 4 in the AAC right now in recruiting.
Can we get him compared to schools that consistently go 8-7? Like, is that okay? Can we just hold off he'll never beat Alabama. Well, you know what? There's a whole lot of teams that have come in and out of the SEC that don't beat Bama. Okay?
Yeah.
A few more, but not a lot more, that come in and don't beat Georgia. Okay? So let's just calm the hell down before we say, well, he'll never be that. You know what? You're not trying to be that. Right now, you're the damn bottom of the barrel. Okay? If Vanderbilt would lift their ACT requirements, they would jump you.
Fine.
They would springboard past you like they were off a diving board. Okay, all right. So let's just chill the hell out. Let's just try to get to the middle of the pack consistently in the SEC, and then take another step. And if he doesn't take that next step, that's fine. But in 3 years, he should be consistently being 6-6, 7-5, 8-4. I think that's the expectation for 3 years in. Now he's got a 6-year deal. By year 6,
that extends if there are NCAA sanctions.
That's right. That's right. Because if the NCAA, which I don't think is happening, by the way, I think the NCAA said, "You guys found that and you punished yourself." Okay. Why would they waste manpower? Why would they waste billable hours on something? They make all this money, so every dollar they spend investigating actually costs them money. It's not like these other places where nobody pays a bill there. They just already have this slush fund of money.
I will say
to
this:
keep if they don't pay it out.
Tennessee might want them to hand down some kind of at least probation or something.
It would help with the
lawsuit.
With the lawsuit that Pruitt's going to bring them.
Yeah.
But what Tennessee wants and what Tennessee gets is irrelevant.
Agreed.
So here's the deal, though. By year 6, saying we would like you competing with Georgia and Florida for the East, I think that's an ample expectation. But if you're 6-6 to 8-4 on the road to that in the first 3 to 4 years, Tennessee fans need to remember how awful the last few years have been and be very proud to be at that spot.
I think they will be. The issue this past year, obviously they went 8-5 last year. The problem there is their 8-5 turned into very quickly for a lot of the vocal segment of the fans. Oh, we're going to win the East.
We're back. No, that needs to stop.
The irrational expectations.
Listen.
And Tennessee's not the only fan base that does this at
Butch
all.
Jones taught you brick by brick. I know you don't want to hear that, but this is just how this thing's got to go.
Yes. That's it. You are correct about that. Right quick, before we continue on with the news, reminder for everybody, we appreciate you guys subscribing to the SBR Picks channel here on YouTube. We have hit 80,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Now, when you and I started back over the summer, whenever I guess it was August, we were like in the 60s.
Wow.
Something like that. So it has jumped significantly thanks to the guys with the NFL show, the three-man weave guys with college basketball.
That's right.
Jam and J Money and the NBA team. And obviously a ton of them, right?
It's a great team.
UFC. Lee has done a great job. Like we really do appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. And we're proud to be a part of this.
Yep.
So we are excited about continuing forward with Sportsbook Review. Like I said, we got 31 off weeks, and then we're gonna be back here again next season. So the 2021 season, hopefully our picks will be a little bit better. But hopefully, we will continue to be entertaining, or maybe even more so. So let's talk about topic number 2 here. Wanted to dive into the fact that our boy Kellen Mond, can we call him our boy?
I like Kellen.
I like Kellen Mond.
I mean, he's been in our life for a long time.
He has been around forever.
I mean,
Texas A&M quarterback won the MVP of the Senior Bowl this week. There is no NFL Combine, so there were a lot of scouts.
Yeah, that's the last time these NFL scouts are going to see these guys in an atmosphere in which they do not control the atmosphere.
Yes.
From this point forward, every individual player will do pro days with their team, but that player gets to control everything.
You got it. If it's windy outside and the quarterback decides, we're going to throw inside.
Or if it's just chilly and he wants to be warm.
Yep. No, you got it. So there's no telling what the rest of the scouting stuff will look like,
Kellen Mond had a good pro day. I think Kellen Mond made himself some money.
Oh, most certainly. So there is a list here of top 10 players who improved their draft stock by the boys over at 247. Kellen Mond is number one on that list.
I think he's number one.
So he was 13 out of 25, 173 yards, tossed 2 third-quarter touchdown passes. And Matt Rule was a big fan of his.
Yes.
In this, and that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the whole Texas
Well, the nice
connection.
thing is he's not. I mean, I've listed off multiple times. Like, there's going to be 7 quarterbacks that go in the first round. They might not all go in the first round, but they're going to go pretty quick.
Pretty quick. And then you've still got others.
He's not even close to that.
Yes.
So I think he's going to get picked up by somebody, and he's probably going to like his landing spot better than some of these other folks.
Oh, I would tend to agree. That he has Russell Wilson written all over him.
I think so, man. Now, that's potential. That's ceiling.
Yes.
He's got to get into the NFL, and he's got to prove that.
Well, Russell Wilson was not NFL Russell Wilson when he was in college at Wisconsin. So he was at Wisconsin for a year. He was at NC State for 4 years before that, and he was
at
NC
NC State, he was just a guy.
Yeah, he was good.
He was just a dude.
He goes to Wisconsin. He looks better than he did at NC State.
I thought he looked pretty damn good.
Oh, he most certainly did, but he was still a third-round quarterback.
That's right.
So, and then, of course, you come in, you win a starting job, and then you never know. Next on this list, Des Fitzpatrick from Louisville, wide receiver. He caught one of those passes from Kellen Mond, 6 receptions, 90 yards, solid output. He earned Offensive Player of the Game, which is strange that the quarterback could get MVP, but not Offensive Player of the Game.
Well, they don't want to give the same award to multiple people.
No, it makes sense.
They're spreading awards out.
Michael Carter, running back out of North Carolina. He impressed a lot of people.
So there were running backs this year that definitely had a chance to make some money because the top 2 guys, I think, cost himself.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. Not a little money.
A lot.
A lot of money. Do you think, we're way projecting here, do you think any running back goes in the first round?
The only one that has a shot, I think, would be Najee Harris. And that's because of his pass-catching ability and whatnot that he showed in the title game and
I'm with you.
The whole season.
The only problem is last year won, and it went 32nd overall.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, the only one that has a chance is Najee Harris.
Yeah.
I think more than likely we get a couple of them in the second round.
Yeah, no, a bunch will go. I do think a lot will go in the second round.
Now, I will say this. That first round running back, he made a lot of noise for the Chiefs, right? It was Clyde.
Yeah, he got hurt.
So he got hurt, but
every game he played in, they scored about 10 to 12 points more than games he didn't play in.
It was more than that. It was over 18 points.
Oh, I thought it was.
More. It was it was 38 points to 20.
Oh, I do know it was in the 30s.
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was 10.
Oh, it was. I mean, it's like 3
touchdowns. It's a big. He changes their offense, and Najee will change somebody's offense. It all depends on who grabs you, though.
Oh,
and you know that.
Absolutely.
I mean, if the Jets or the Lions grab you, sorry.
It just happens. It is what it is.
My bad.
That's NFL. We'll talk about that later. So Demetric Felton, running back from UCLA, he made a lot of noise this week. His stock is improving. Nico Collins, wide receiver from Michigan, never felt like he really had anybody to throw him the ball while he was in Michigan.
He didn't.
But turns out you
put him around some better talent.
You put him with some guys that can actually throw the football, and he's a pretty talented dude. So it looks like he may make some noise in the draft. Jonathan Cooper, edge rusher from Ohio State. He, of course, he didn't look great on tape this season, but at the Senior Bowl, like obviously his measurables, everything else, like they stand out drastically, and he showed out against other competition really well. And you'll see that in the Senior Bowl and whatnot. So Janarius Robinson, edge rusher, Florida State, it's kind of the same thing. Obviously, these dudes have talent, but when the team is so...
And we knew about Robinson.
Yeah, no, we've
known that guy was
a stud,
holding on to a sinking ship for a long time.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. Keith Taylor, cornerback from Washington. Mac Jones, quarterback from Alabama. All week he was voted best quarterback at the Senior Bowl, even though he didn't play because he got injured on Thursday. Like, et cetera. We already know about Mac Jones, but I think people wanted him to show that he could do it not at Alabama.
Yes.
And did you see some of those throws? I mean, he threw dimes absolute dimes while in practice.
I don't care about any of that. I want it. You're not going to see it. You want to see how he handles pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Because the only tape you have of him handling pressure was from last year, because he was only sacked like 6 times a whole year this year. And when he handled pressure last year, it was bad. It was not okay. It was not, all right, messed up here, but had some good throws here. Not a single time did he do anything positive when pressured. Not even sacked, just rushed.
No, it was
when you get to the NFL, that's going to happen regularly, and that's not okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you. But he was coming in replacing Tua the season before that. And I understand. Doesn't matter. You give him an offseason where he's the guy, it changes things. Ian Book, that's the last guy on the list.
That's my guy.
I know. That's your dude.
That's my guy.
That's your dude. Dreadful performance in the game.
That's fine.
But throughout the week.
That's fine.
Very impressive.
I've got enough tape on Ian.
Yeah. He's, my God, 4-year starter? I mean,
I
it's
think
ridiculous.
I'm a little biased because I got in the tank with him early. But I think he's going to be a very good pro. And I like that he's not one of these hot guys going to go early. He's going to end up.
He'll be like Kellen Mond. He'll be later. He's
going to end up going to a really good situation, I believe.
I do agree with that.
Probably not going to have to start as a rookie. So 2 to 3 years from now, he's going to take somebody's job.
I mean, he might look good on the Patriots.
I'll take him tomorrow. I really would. And the nice thing is you get him in like a 3rd-round pick. You don't have to waste it. You take that 1st-round pick and get a receiver. You know what Bill's going to do? He's going to trade back.
Oh, yeah, of course. He always does. Always does. Especially with the higher pick this year. You get more pull for it. Moving on, this past weekend, a recruiting pitch video from one Sir Nicholas Saban was leaked on the internet by a prospective recruit, and I am curious your thoughts on the situation, right? So the pitch itself was about as perfect as you can get. The clip that was clipped out to everybody, the 2-minute clip, the full 15-minute version is out there. If you can still find it on, somebody pulled it down off YouTube, whoever it was. But the clip that has been shared out on Twitter and gone all around on these podcasts and everything else, it is the perfect recruiting pitch. I wouldn't be talking to you if you couldn't play at Alabama. He talks about all the negative recruiting actually being insulting. He goes through the whole list of we've had more linebackers drafted than losses in the last 11 years. We've had more defensive linemen drafted than losses the last 11 years. We've played for 8 national championships in the last 11 years, won 6 of them. We're in the playoffs, another one of those seasons. There's only been 2 years out of 11, all this kind of mess, right? The perfect pitch. However, you have a different take on this.
I do. I think his pitch is perfect. I think it sounded perfect. In the history of college football recruits, FaceTiming, texting, phone conversations, in-person conversations, we've had the ability to record all of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Document them all. Not one has ever been leaked. And when things get leaked, it's usually pretty embarrassing to the person that gets leaked on, right?
Yes.
Leaked is a negative term in the sense
typically, yeah.
In the sense of if you have a leak, you have a problem,
yeah,
right?
Because something typically is embarrassing, or you said something bad about somebody else.
I don't think
that
this
you didn't
was
want to
leaked
get
at
out
all.
there.
I think this was released by Alabama.
You think it was?
I think it was released by Nick. Yes, 100%. I absolutely do. He was able to get that message into the eyes and ears of every kid, not just in this recruiting class, but the next recruiting class and the one after and the one after that. If you were playing high-level football in the 8th grade and 9th grade and the 10th grade and the 11th, you are listening to that pitch and you were thinking, I mean, I know I grow up in Ohio, but it's really cold here. Maybe I'll try Alabama. Like, he's getting into these guys without even having to pick up the phone.
That is a very interesting take on it. I had not thought about that, honestly.
It was the first thing I thought of when I saw it. Because that guy is the most calculated person in the world. And when you're on these Zoom calls, You know when somebody's recording or not because a little red dot turns on. And if you don't think Nick knows about that, you're wrong. He's an old man, but he's not an idiot.
That's interesting.
So you think he didn't know he was being recorded?
My first thought on this was, okay, there is a recruit that is about to get their offer pulled this week. That was my first thought, right? Because I don't think he wants that going out there, except for the fact that it was all true. There was nothing that was disparaging about anybody else.
It was just a hard sell.
It was an incredibly hard sell. It was a perfect 2-minute pitch. Like if you talk about wanting to go and get an elevator pitch for a show or a book or whatever, you want the quick, 1 to 2 minutes, very fast sell. That's exactly what this was.
Now that's being floated around the whole ethos. And
it goes viral because it is, it's Nick Saban's leaked video, right? And that has more of a connotation on it than if he were to just set up a camera and give you the full pitch.
And show everybody his pitch.
Right.
And it looks arrogant, and that looks... But now he gets to play what we all love in this country, at least. The victim. Oh, something bad happened. And you know what? He's a smart guy. That guy plays 3D chess, okay? He's not 1 move ahead, 2 moves ahead. He's 20 moves ahead. I bet he's got a list of 3 or 4 guys that he's going to decommit or pull an offer from. And he's going to wait until after this video came out. And then he's going to pull an offer, and everyone's going to think that guy, or he's going to pull an offer from like 5 guys at once. And so everybody's going to do the spinning wheel of which one of you 5 guys is the one that leaked the video. He's already got somebody he can pin it on. He's already got it played out. If you're ever going to commit a crime, you don't just commit the perfect crime. You have to find a fall guy too. Nick knows this.
Yeah. Yeah, you're entirely right.
Guarantee by the end of this week, by signing day, Wednesday, at least 3 people will have their offer pulled. And everybody will then do the Russian roulette of which one of you did it. So then he's got a fall guy too.
I wonder, so there's one big-time recruit that's left out there. And we'll talk about him in a minute, JT Tuimoloau. I hope I said that right. But he's the number 1 recruit at 247. Yeah. Everybody thinks he's going.
He's the number 1 guy.
So he's played tight end, but he's also a defensive end / linebacker. Saban talked a lot in that video about linebacker / defensive end. Maybe it was that kid because everybody thinks he's going to Ohio State.
Yeah,
but we'll see. So either way, incredibly perfect pitch, and you might be right. I mean, Saban is 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of the game almost all the time.
He gets to play a victim. Oh, I'm just a dumb old man. I don't know how this technology works.
Somebody recorded me against my...
He gets to do all of the things everything that he wants to accomplish happened by that leak. Everything.
It's a valid point. It's a very valid point.
I bet he had it go through a VPN that was from the Midwest too.
That's interesting.
I bet if we pull where it came from, I bet he, paid for a VPN for it to get uploaded from some other place.
From elsewhere. That's interesting.
It won't be from Tuscaloosa. This dude's smart. He's not an idiot.
No, certainly not.
When you make a deal with the devil, it all comes with it.
You got all the perks.
It all comes with it.
You get all
spend eternity in hell, but while you're here, everything comes with it.
While you're here, you get all them championships. So we'll move on from there. I got to ask you about your boys down at Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Arik Gilbert, the number 5 overall player in the 2020 class, the recruiting class, has announced that he is transferring to Florida. He left LSU mid-season.
Yes,
before the last 2 wins of the year.
Yeah, it was before. It was mid-season.
It was after the Alabama game.
Yeah, it was after the Alabama game.
So he announces this week he is transferring to Florida. Now he's from Georgia.
Yeah.
He's part of the reasoning was he wanted to move closer to home.
And that's probably true. I mean, that is closer to home.
However, with this, so just talking about Gilbert himself, Florida is a really good fit. You just saw what Kyle Pitts was able to do. He was a Heisman.
I think Gilbert saw that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Perfect fit. You saw what Kyle Pitts did in Dan Mullen's offense. You think that you can replicate that. Hey, this guy was top 10 in the Heisman voting. He's going to be a first-round NFL draft pick. I can be that guy. I can be, whatever.
And he can be. I think he's physically, I think he's better than Pitts.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I mean,
he can. Will he live up to that? I don't know.
Oh, there's no telling.
Pitts 100% lived up to everything he could be, and that dude's a monster.
Yeah, Pitts was never rated as highly as Gilbert.
So, yeah, no.
But
he should be able to do all the things that Pitts did and more.
Yeah. No. So what I'm curious about now, and we haven't really had this full conversation. Obviously, at LSU, Ed Orgeron has swapped out coordinators. He swapped out all this different stuff. Is there something going on in Baton Rouge? There were a ton of opt-outs.
Before all of that.
No, agreed. But this was during the season. I just wanted to kind of hit on it a little
2020 was a chaotic season. Baton Rouge took it harder than probably anybody else. It was a season that we found out if you watched all of college football, which you and I did, most of our fans, if you watched this video, you probably did. We found out experience and leadership matter more than anything else. And LSU lost 15 starters?
No, it ended up more than that from the 2019 season.
Yeah. So they returned nobody. They had no leadership at all come into that locker room. It was a locker room of dealing with all of the chaos going on in our country, from how LSU handled the COVID stuff, which I have no inside information on, but I know that's an extra bit of stress and pressure on the team, and how the coaches handled those things, I don't know. All
of the guys that were projected to be NFL guys, yes, all the projected leaders.
Yes, the uprising in our country, from the police brutality issues to all the protests and things of that nature, that didn't sit well in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
And we had a lot of guys say, you know what, they're just more important. We're not going to play football this year.
Yeah.
We're not going to play football this year. And they went to work on their craft to get ready for the NFL draft. And these are all NFL guys.
Oh, yeah, most certainly.
I mean, we lost 5 to 6 NFL starters next year. Can't win.
Yeah.
Just can't win if that happens. You just can't win. So he comes into a team with that and says, okay, well, I see all these other guys leaving. And he said this, I'm here. I'm here to stay. But then he saw how hard it is to be a part of a team that has very little leadership and a lot of dysfunction and a lot of chaos. And I think it's easy for him to say, you know what, I want out. And my opinions about transfers.
Oh, yeah.
I think these coaches can leave whenever the hell they want with no punishment. I think these contracts are all written up in funny money. And I think if they can leave, or you can fire a coach at the snap of your fingers, then I think these kids should be able to leave too. Just because he left my school doesn't mean I still think it's not wrong.
Agreed.
I think he absolutely should be able to leave.
I agree with you.
Don't like that he went to a team that we have to play every year. See, that sucks.
That's what.
But there's nothing I can do about that.
Right. That's what coaches have been against this whole time, because there was a rule set in place where you could not transfer in conference.
Yeah.
Especially without sitting out, or two, just period.
Well, he's probably going to sit out. I would venture to say he'd
probably not.
You think he's going to get the waiver?
I think that the waiver. Well, one, he's moving closer to home.
He is moving closer to home. He might get the waiver.
We're not going to even have to worry about a waiver by the time football season rolls around.
You think?
I think the NCAA is going to pass that.
Which I'm for, by the way.
Yeah.
These are all things I'm for. I'm not upset. I don't want to play him because he's another great player that I don't want to have to play.
No, you're right about
that. But I'm
that.
not against what he did or his ability to do it. I think anybody coming into that class last year was just tough.
Oh, most certainly.
I think last year was just a nightmare season for a lot of people, and I'm surprised a few other guys didn't walk.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. That is going to wrap up the news section. Now, we are about to have a lot of fun in it. All right, I'm pretty stoked about this. We have we're kind of going through discussing news and also recapping the past season while preparing to look ahead to the next season. We're only in off-season week 3. There's 31 weeks in the off-season. So we got a little time.
The 2020 season is still fresh on our mind.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about the good of the 2020 season.
That is what I want to do here.
Best
so
of the
let's go ahead and do. We called it a draft, but what we're going to do is we are each going to give you our top 10 games. And do we go from 10 to 1, or you know what? Yeah, let's go from 10 all the way back up to the number 1 most.
We're going to go from 10 to 1, then I get to do the spite and meanness early.
Okay.
That's
perfectly fine with me. I will go ahead and let you start.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
And then we'll roll on from there. So basically, these are our top 10 best games or most entertaining games.
I thought they were the funnest games. They were the most entertaining games.
Yes.
Some of them were the best games, but yeah, I think there was the entertain. You couldn't have just been a great close game. I think it needed to have some fun in it as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So what was your number 10?
So I came up with, I'll preface this by saying I came up with 8 pretty easily. And then I have a list of a lot that I was trying to whittle down. What do I want to pick the last 2? And that's when I said, you know what? Both of these follow the exact same trajectory. Very good games. All of the games getting left off. Very good games. The difference is the outcome made me happy on these. Some thin-skinned fans going to get a little butthurt. My number 10 is going to be the Oklahoma-Iowa State football game.
Well, which one?
The first one.
Okay.
Where Oklahoma lost and Iowa State won.
Okay, there you go.
And I thought that was one, because the second one wasn't a fun game at all. It was just Oklahoma.
It wasn't as much
beat them up
fun.
Pretty good.
Well, no, I mean, it's 27-21. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, but
you know.
You can't just look at a score, man. You had to watch a game to know if a game was close or not.
No. I did like that.
There's a couple of mine that I've got on here where the score got out of hand at the very end. But up until that end,
it was a fun game.
They were great games.
The first Iowa State Oklahoma game was a significantly more entertaining game.
100%.
I will say that.
100%.
So, all right, so 37-30, Iowa State wins that one. So I guess maybe the kickoff return is the one that stands out the most in that one?
A little bit. It was just the fact that this is the first real test Oklahoma's facing. This is the real test to tell, is Iowa State legit? Because remember, Iowa State lost to Louisiana a couple weeks before this. And we didn't know, were they going to be very good at all or not? And then they come on this stage and they put out this performance, and
it was raining.
I remember some of these mainly because of when they happen, I think is just as important as how they happen. Because they either set a stage for something or not. One of yours is an important one when you get there. I'll talk to you about it. But yeah.
My number 10, I had North Carolina 59, Wake Forest 53. Wake Forest was up by like 3 touchdowns at multiple times in this game, and North Carolina exploded in the fourth quarter and drove me insane because I had Wake covering in this game, and they did end up eventually covering because Wake had to come back. Even though they were up by 3 touchdowns, they ended up down by 2 touchdowns at one point. It was just this insane offensive explosion between offensive coordinator Phil Longo for North Carolina and Dave Clawson from Wake Forest. Like, these two guys were back and forth, unbelievable. It was as entertaining as it possibly gets. I mean, over 100 combined points. Those kind of games tend to be a lot of fun. So that one stuck out to me. That was in week 11, but that was definitely entertaining. What was your number 9?
My number 9, very much on the same premise of the first one. My boy Gary Patterson, TCU, taking out Texas.
I had that one as one of my like top 20-ish or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, 33-31.
Gary Patterson factor. My love for that guy. And
do you think that's the game that cost Herman his job?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, literally, Texas is on the goal line about to score to win the game.
Because TCU really didn't look good after that either, though.
No.
So it wasn't just how they won. It was also, as TCU kind of started middling back downward, everyone's looking back saying, we lost to those guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it literally, Texas is on the goal line with a minute left.
Austin's the most important city to Texas. The second most important city in the world to Texas is Dallas.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's just not where you can go and lose, and they do it a lot.
Oh, all the time.
They do it a lot, and
All the time.
I think at some point in time there are a lot of fans that just said, you know what, we got to stop this.
Yeah, I could agree with that. My number 9 from Week 10, which was the first week of the Pac-12 season, USC 28, Arizona State 27. Remember, in the fourth quarter, just a few minutes left in the game, Arizona State was up by 2 touchdowns, and they got beat. Like, that was absolutely absurd, and it started a trend of the cardiac Trojans.
Yep.
That game was the majority of the game was pretty insane because it was the first ever 9 a.m. kick for the Pac-12. It was the big noon kick on Fox, and we were watching the game going like, are they awake yet? Like, what is so weird about this game? Because it wasn't so much that it was fun. It's always fun to watch USC get their rear ends whipped by Arizona State because we like Herm.
We like Herm.
But the way that the game ended made it so entertaining because it was an onside kick. It was just down the field, and there was actual defense that was played for a majority of the game. It was a fun.
It was a really fun game. It was the first big weekend that the Pac-12 was in, and that's important.
Yeah, most certainly.
It was a good way to start off the Pac-12.
All right, moving on to number 8 for you.
My number 8, Florida State, North Carolina game.
Oh yeah.
This was a spectacular. Listen, this is the list of North Carolina's great performances in 2020. This is it. They got.
You mean Florida State's? Florida State's good.
Florida
good
State,
performance. Yes.
I don't know who I said.
You said North Carolina.
Yeah.
But
No, North Carolina had some good ones. This is the list. One game where they showed up and they played great.
At quarterback, Jordan Travis was fantastic in this
They
one.
didn't get close to this performance the rest of the year against anybody else.
Well, they were up, like 28-7, I want to say?
It was pretty dominating. Then North Carolina started coming back.
Yeah. If there had been 5 more minutes in that ball game.
No, they were not
maybe
hung on.
less.
They'd have found a way to score again. They'd have found a way to score again.
I don't know. They only
I
scored
believe
like
it.
3 points in the second half. I mean, it was...
Norvell had one good thing happen to him in 2020, and that was it. And it was awesome. It was awesome.
My number 8, Louisiana 34, Georgia State 31 in overtime. This was week 3. It was the week after Louisiana went to Iowa State and whipped up on them boys in Ames. Then they come back and they have to play Georgia State the next week, and everybody assumes, because Louisiana was like a 20-point favorite at this point.
Yeah, they were a big.
It was insane. And they had to come from behind in overtime because Georgia State kicked a field goal in that first one. They had to score a walk-off touchdown just to win the game. And they did this multiple times. I could have picked any number of games.
So I think I have a Louisiana game here.
Louisiana kicked a field goal. Billy Napier's bunch kicked a field goal to beat Georgia Southern 20-18.
I was just about to say, no, they didn't beat anybody by double digits.
Not until the end of the
year,
season.
until the very last game.
Yeah, like Louisiana Monroe, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, the App State game was a great game for them.
Yeah.
The UAB game was a great game.
No,
all sorts of them.
No, they played a lot of great ones. That's a good one.
Oh, yes.
That's a good one.
Most certainly. What is your number 7?
My number 7, Cincinnati UCF. So we talked about Heupel earlier. So I'm a big Heupel guy. I like this game. I like this game a lot because by this time, I knew what Heupel was going to do, and I knew what Cincinnati was going to do and how they were going to play it.
Yep.
I thought, and UCF scored way more than I thought they were going to. And so Cincinnati got themselves into a shootout. And I was expecting, they did it to Memphis. They did it to SMU. They played a game in a phone booth, beat the hell out of the real fast, quick team. They don't score the way they used to score.
And Cincinnati
scores a lot. And it's a blowout. And that didn't happen at all.
Nope.
UCF scored and scored and scored, and Cincinnati was having to play tit for tat the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, holy crap. This is good. I'm telling you, Josh Heupel put up more points against Cincinnati than anybody in the country did.
Is that true?
I don't know if that's true or not. I literally just said that, hoping Gary wouldn't question it. I bet it's close.
I bet it is too.
I bet it's close. I don't know if Georgia scored as much as UCF
they didn't.
did.
They didn't. The UCF put up 33 points in that game.
That's a really good defense that not a lot of people scored on.
Tulsa put up 24 on them.
I know Tulsa didn't, and Tulsa scored more than most.
Memphis scored 10. SMU scored, 10 or 14?
Yeah, no, SMU scored almost nothing. Memphis scored almost nothing. Your high score, it would have been somebody we weren't expecting, like East Carolina or something like that.
No, they put up 17.
That literally might have just spoke the truth right there.
I think you might have.
I don't know.
I think you might have.
I know it's close. It was close enough for me to get by with it if you didn't play. Gotcha. But yeah, that's a really good offense.
Oh, absolutely.
Against a great defense. Didn't see it coming.
Number 7 for me, Texas 63, Texas Tech 56.
That was a good game.
Overtime game. And so you have accused me in the past of being a Texas fan. And I did realize.
You are a Texas fan.
That I did realize that the one Texas game that I put on here was a Texas win. However, Texas was down by 15 points in regulation with like under 3 minutes left to go in this game. Fox had to move the game.
Yep.
Because they had the NLDS, I think, going on. So it was.
I do remember that. It was baseball.
It was getting moved around on TV and whatnot, and Fox kind of didn't want to, but they were contracted to, so they had to find a channel for it. It was absolutely insane. I think you had to watch the rest of this game on the app, which is partly why I remember it so much, because I'm watching and I'm trying to figure out spreads and everything else, what's going on here, and I had to watch it on that stupid Fox Sports app, and they are down like 56-41.
Well, you know they're not covering.
Oh, well, no.
They're not covering.
But
by the time it goes to the app, you know they're not covering.
But I did have Texas on the money line in one of those money line parlays.
That's right.
So it's 56-41, and I'm not paying attention to it anymore because Texas Tech has the ball with 3 minutes to go, and they're up by 15.
Yeah.
And
they're up by 15.
And suddenly, you look, and the score is, they get it to within a touchdown, and then they've got the ball back because they got the onside kick, and it's like, okay, what is going on? And then I flip it over, and then Fox has to cut the game, so then you have to go find. It was bananas. So as many close losses as Texas had, there was also this one that was bonkers.
On my list, just for the Texas guy, I'm not all hate. On my list, I did have Texas, Oklahoma State. Didn't make the top 10, but that was a great game. That Texas actually won, so I'll give them the props there. What am I on? I'm looking
number
for 6. Oregon State.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that game was awesome. And I'm trying to give a little bit of love, too. So, like, when I'm parsing out some of these, Oregon State played too damn good this year for us to not talk about them and to not let people remember. Remember when that was the worst team in college football? Like Vanderbilt, Rutgers, and Kansas used to laugh at them. And
Jonathan Smith has done a fantastic job. And you and
I. Great game.
Obviously, fan of the Beavers.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
So that was a big win, 41-38 on that one.
I think the stage makes that probably a better game than some of these other ones.
Wasn't that one that was in the fog and everything? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't super foggy. It wasn't TV bad foggy.
Yeah, no, it wasn't crazy.
But I mean, it was Pacific Northwest.
Typical
rainy, foggy,
whatever. Yeah,
gloomy.
Poor weather. We'll say that. Number 6 for me, Texas A&M 41, Florida 38. This one was bananas. Week 6, Florida gets the ball back after A&M scores to tie it. And there was a fumble. Florida loses the ball, and nobody was stopping anybody in this game. I mean, it was just the two defenses were not going to stop those offenses, and Texas A&M just happened to have the ball last in this spot. And we all thought, because A&M had just gotten their doors blown in by Alabama, so everybody thought, including us, we thought that Florida's offense is pretty damn good. They're going to go in there and do the same thing.
That's right.
And Dan Mullen, of course, the post-game press conference with, we need to have 90,000 in the swamp, and this is the
right
most
after
full.
Pack the Swamp.
Oh my God, it was ridiculous. So yes, that game ended up meaning quite a bit for both of those teams.
Yes,
as we went through. So big football game. What's number 5 for you?
My number 5, an enjoyment factor might be higher than 5 because the group of friends that we text with at all times, all 5 of us were just entranced in this game, going back and forth. And it's when I give you the game, a completely rando, meaningless game that was awesome. Michigan, Rutgers.
Okay, yes, it certainly was.
That game was. Now, I am out of all of my friends, all of the people I know in the world, I am the Michigan apologist somehow. I don't know why. It's pathetic. I like Jim Harbaugh. I have no opinions or feelings about the school whatsoever. I'm the only guy on the planet outside of Jim's family that finds him likable. I like the guy.
By the way, going back to the Nick Saban recruiting video, I was supposed to ask what coaches would you want to see a leaked recruiting video from? Harbaugh is on my list. Coach O is on my list.
So you pick guys that I like. The only two people that I want to hear a pitch for are two people that I absolutely despise and do not respect at all.
I want to hear Kirby Smart.
I want to hear what in the hell Kirby Smart says to somebody to make them want to come play football for him, and Dabo Swinney. These are two guys that I find to be morons. I do not think they're intelligent at all. And I don't, and listen, we're Mississippi bumpkin, okay? Those guys are dumb country bumpkin. I want to know what they could possibly say to a kid to make them want to come play for them.
I agree with you.
It's not the guys that recruit really well that I like and respect. It's the guy, because I know what their spiel is. I know what they're saying. I have no idea what these guys are telling people to get them to come play football to trust them to go play football there.
Back to your Michigan Rutgers.
Michigan Rutgers was awesome.
48-42, triple overtime. It was...
I mean, I literally, with all I had in me, wanted Rutgers to win this game.
I thought you were about to shout out, because the one that I think we texted the most during was Northwestern and Wisconsin.
No, it wasn't that game.
But that one was not that game.
No, that was a Northwest. I have two Northwestern games written down as honorable mentions that didn't make the list. And it wasn't Wisconsin either.
Rutgers this year with Sean Gleason at offensive coordinator was fantastic.
What
they
are
so
doing, I'm telling you, every UT fan, this is karma. Now, I don't believe in karma because I've seen a lot of horrible people, Alabama fans, do horrible things, and they just keep winning and keep getting rewarded. So I don't think it really exists.
I don't
But
know.
if it does, I'm telling you, the Tennessee fans is getting all of it with Jeremy Pruitt ride from what they did to Schiano.
Now, I don't know that Schiano would have brought Sean Gleason with him, because Gleason was at Princeton. He wanted to go back to the Northeast.
Might not have had the success. Might not have been.
Yeah.
Tell you, he would have been better than Pruitt. And irrelevant of if he was better or not, what you did to a man because you didn't want him to coach your football team, unforgivable. This is a place that I actually like a lot, that Knoxville, Tennessee area, whatever. I defend them constantly on this show. I defend them way more than I should. And
it is true.
And that is a thing that when I think about what they did to Schiano, enrages me and makes me wonder why I ever defend them. Because you're attacking a person's character and quality, and you're accusing them of a disgusting, heinous crime.
Truth.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Rutgers, Michigan was amazing. If you missed it, you got to YouTube it.
It was triple overtime, 48-42 final. It was well worth the watch. My number 5, Liberty 38, Virginia Tech 35. I'm realizing the time right now. We're going to kind of have to roll through.
I'll roll through. I'll quit jammering.
But Liberty 38-35, and this game ended with a blocked field goal returned for a touchdown that was called back because Justin Fuente actually called a timeout before the field goal was blocked. And then, of course, there's enough time left on the clock that Liberty decides, hey, you know what? We just got that one blocked. We're just going to go for this 4th and 6. And Virginia Tech plays a weird prevent, like they do not actually try and defend the 4th down whatsoever. So there's like 7 seconds left. They're able to get the first down and still kick a field goal. Like, Hugh Freeze this season.
I can't believe he didn't get a big boy job.
I kind of can't either, but this was this was one of the most entertaining games.
That would have been the game that I would have shown on the film as I told Tennessee this is our coach if I was AD.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%. I mean, they scored 38 points. Like, at Liberty against Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
like,
man.
what? Just, All right, number 4 for you.
Coastal Carolina, Louisiana.
Oh, yeah, 30-27. Yep. That was a Wednesday night.
This was the game where I thought Coastal's for real.
Yeah.
They were. That's where I liked them up until that point. I believed in all the stats and all the numbers. But when I saw that game, I thought that team's got a chance to run the table.
Oh, yeah. That was
before I ever knew BYU was going to come on the schedule, which different. But
that was a legit win. Louisiana. I mean, it was at home.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in Lafayette.
They dominated them. It was a close game. They controlled.
I mean, it came down to a field goal at the end. But
they controlled the game the entire game.
Yeah. No, most certainly. Most certainly. Number 4 for me would be your Bayou Bengals. 37-34 over Florida in Week 15. This is the throw the shoe game, and I don't know that it gets any better than that. We had fog in this game. Oh yes, we did. No. And this one was because it was right around Christmas time. You were getting ready for Christmas time a couple weeks before it, whatever. And because LSU had been beaten to death just the week before, 2 weeks before, whatever it was. You kind of thought at this point, okay, they got a bunch of guys that have just opted out before this game.
Oh, yeah. No, everybody quit. Yeah. This game is the game we showed up with.
Like 49 scholarship players.
49 scholarship players, like 30-something freshmen. Yeah. Like legitimately, of those 49 players, like 38 of them were freshmen.
The line on this game was 23.5. Yeah. And when LSU went up, 14-0? I immediately texted you and was like, what is happening? What is going on here? It made no sense. So it's the game that cost Kyle Trask the Heisman, I believe.
I believe that too.
And aside from that, it cost Florida a shot at the playoff. In all honesty,
it did. It really did.
Because I think they still kept Florida in contention at like number 6 or whatever it was. But
they couldn't jump everybody to get back in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, you got
it. If they go undefeated and are one loss outside of A&M and they lose by 7 to Alabama, I think they get in. I really do. Yeah. I really do think Notre Dame gets bounced. They get in.
Number 3 for you.
That would have been my number 1. That would have been my number 1.
That makes sense.
Number 1. Number 3 for me. UCF in here twice. UCF Memphis.
That is such a fantastic game. That was right outside my top 10.
Now, this is definitely the definition of we don't play no defense, and we got big, tall wide receivers who are fast. And you're talking 3 and 4 play drives for touchdowns all night long.
What was it, over 1,600 yards of total offense in this game?
Did that break the record?
I think so.
I know it got damn close to it, and I think it did actually set the record for most total yards in a football game. Just incredible. And came down to the very last second, very last play.
50-49 Memphis, and it was the first win for Memphis in, the last 12 games against Central Florida?
Yeah, Central Florida just kind of had their number. And Memphis wasn't really having that great of a season.
Yep. And
that game was awesome.
It really was. It was entertaining. Number 3 for me, Indiana 36, Penn State 35. And this one was in overtime. Of course, I think everybody would remember if there's a singular image from this season, I think it would be Michael Penix reaching out the goal for that 2-point conversion. And the ball just sitting right there. Like, did it break the plane? Did it not? I mean, it led to an entire weeks-long debate before Penix got injured, of course.
Opening weekend of Big Ten football, that is how we started Big Ten play.
Yes.
First game of the year. And I think, holy crap, is this game not just the best? This is the best sport in the world.
Penn State so Penn State at first should have lost the game.
Yes.
Right? Because they were being dominated.
They're being dominated. They had to fight like hell to make this close.
And then they come back and they get an 8-point lead, and all they have to do is run out the clock. The
other team has to score a touchdown and get the 2-point conversion.
Yes.
This ain't the Kansas City Chiefs, okay?
But Penn State had the ball and a chance to actually run out the clock. They didn't have to give the ball back.
That's right.
And it was so frustrating. However, It was not all that frustrating because, like, obviously we didn't have a dog in the fight.
No, we wanted to see Indiana.
We enjoyed, like, I would have been fine either way.
No, I wanted to, but
I don't like the fact that Penn State started out with like 5 straight losses. I think that's bad for the Big Ten, bad for the sport kind of thing. However,
it's a weird year of COVID. It's never happened in the history of the game before. It probably won't ever happen again.
No, you got
so
that right.
I'm not worried about the fact that it happened.
But either way, hell of a ball game.
I've been watching football for 33 of my 38 years on this world pretty closely, and I've still see stuff in that game. I've never seen a game end like that.
Oh yeah, I'm the same.
This is why this is the greatest game. There are so many moving parts. That's why this is the greatest game in the world. My number 2. We looking for number 2? Oh no, my number 2. You're gonna like my number 2 and my number 1 have something in common.
Okay, go ahead.
They have one team in common. My number 2, since you took my LSU game, I'm going to throw another LSU. LSU, Ole Miss.
I knew it. I knew you were going with the lane train. And now LSU won this game.
We did win this game,
53-48. Is that right?
We ended up winning the game. Thankfully, I needed that. Might not have made the list if we didn't. I disagree. I think I would have had enough integrity and character to almost put the Mississippi State game on there. But just to be honest in the show, that I'm not a biased person all the time.
That makes sense. I think everybody already knows your bias. It's okay.
Well, I'm biased. I like this team, but I'm willing to state things that are facts, even if they're bad for my team. That's what I want to convey to people. This was a spectacular football game.
Agreed.
Now, I knew going into it, we were going to score more points than we scored all year. I knew that. Simply by the fact that we got the same 48 scholarship athletes, same 30-something freshmen playing this game, but Ole Miss just does not believe in defense.
No.
So, I knew my boy's going to be able to score. Now, can we stop the train? That was what I was afraid of, and all I wanted was just give me a fun game, give me the Tigers on top.
It certainly became that.
And I got it.
Well, I think it worked out well. Like, obviously, Lane Kiffin wanted to see what else they had aside from having Elijah Moore and Kenny Yeboah.
Well, because they didn't have those guys.
Yeah, those guys opted out before this game. However, LSU had already had a bunch of guys opt out at this point. I mean, the other guys
nobody was feeling bad for them losing those guys. After we lost an NFL team.
Yep.
An NFL team.
And Ole Miss had lost like 2 dudes.
2 dudes.
But they were NFL dudes.
They are NFL dudes.
That's Either way, it was a hell of a ball game.
It was awesome.
Hell of a ball game. My number 2, going back to the shots, Coastal Carolina 22, BYU 17. This was in Week 14. It was a game where the contract to play was not even signed until the day before the game.
Yeah.
That is intense.
When Coastal won, I think if BYU wins this game, we don't see it the same because they're bigger, they're stronger, they're supposed to be better than them.
I think that we would see it the same if it ended the same way.
Maybe you're right.
I mean, it was just because everybody was so excited about like these 2 undefeated teams that are getting together over in
the rankings weren't giving either of these teams very much respect at all.
Oh, absolutely not. And they were trying to get some kind of a game to boost their rankings.
That's right.
And there was so much hype. It had College Game Day. It had all this different stuff.
Yeah.
Like the game mattered. Yes and no, because neither of them went to a big bowl game.
But it didn't matter. It still mattered in the importance and the ethos of football.
It was the highest rated game on ESPNU in the history of the channel.
Yeah, and it's a damn shame that they didn't move it to ESPN or ESPN2 because they had crap games on those channels.
Oh, yes.
But they were big-name marquee teams that they just didn't want to disrespect.
And that makes sense. But this was such a fun football game. And it was everything about the sport that should be possible going forward and everything about the sport that we like about the little guys because it's not everything in college football is about the playoff. No. It shouldn't – the whole conversation should not revolve around that.
It shouldn't.
While we do talk about it a lot because that is, the one thing that a lot of the bigger fan bases want to know, hey, can we make it? Can we make it, right? Obviously, that's a big selling thing. But college football in and of itself was built as a regional sport, man. And these 2 teams are about as far away regionally as you can get. BYU at the beginning of the season was the only team on the West Coast that was willing to play football.
That's right.
The only one in the Mountain Time Zone or in the Pacific Time Zone. That's it. And they said, screw it. We will pick up on a Wednesday and drive all the way to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina to go and try and whip somebody's ass. And we respected it.
Yes.
And it was awesome. Yep. So I absolutely love that game. What was your number one?
My number one game, you got the best game of the year on your number one. I'm going to let you have that. That's good. My number one, it was the most fun I had watching an Alabama game in a long time. And this was Alabama Ole Miss. I'm going back to the well with Lane one more time. And both these games, Lane lost. But this was the game that told me, this guy's real. This guy belongs. I thought everything I thought. Now, some of this is a little egotist here. Everything I thought would happen in this game happened in this game. I thought from the start of this football game, Ole Miss is going to hang with them. Alabama won't punt. I think Alabama punted once. I didn't think you'd punt at all. And I thought, you're not going to beat them by 2 scores. This game is going to be tight. This game is going to be close. They are going to be right there. They turn the ball over once. They field goal 2 times, and that's ball game.
Oh, yeah.
It's ball game. Like, you can't kick field goals against Alabama. You got to keep going for it. But that all happened in, like, the last 6 minutes of the game. Up until that last 6 minutes, it was 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Both teams swinging that door both ways. Bama couldn't stop them.
Ole Miss scored more points against Alabama than any team this past season.
Oh, not close. I bet that number's not close.
But no, Florida put up 46.
Did they really?
Yeah.
How do I not remember that?
Well, I mean, they scored a late touchdown to get it within that. I mean,
they scored a lot late, right? They scored 14 points in the last 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
I have this game being in the 30s, which is why I thought they blew the number out.
It was like.
But I guess you're right.
Alabama was up 52-20.
That's
7.
That
something
has
like that.
to be why I thought that game finished in the 30s.
I mean, I could believe it, but yeah, they scored 46 on them. But yeah, so Ole Miss. I mean, Lane certainly had their number. That started the whole thing. Did Lane Kiffin steal Alabama's defensive signals? You remember from that week after? I mean, it was just the whole thing was crazy. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was a great game.
The number one for me, and now I put these in order because I thought that we were going to draft as opposed to.
I got you.
However, we ended up talking about 20 games, and I'm glad that we did. Notre Dame 47, Clemson 40.
It's the best game of the year.
In double overtime, and it was the night that they called the election for Joe Biden. They had to move the game to the USA Network. There was all of that stuff going on. You had Saturday Night Live coming on after it. It was the most watched game this season. It was everything about this was just completely epic, right? You had the backup quarterback for Clemson, like Trevor Lawrence is on the sideline. He can't play, but he's on the sideline. And then you got DJ Uiagalelei throwing for 400-plus yards on his defense.
He threw up a ton of yards. He played great.
Kylan Williams, of course, the running back from Notre Dame, running for 100 and whatever yards.
Ian looking Book, like he lost the game. And then getting to play the hero. This is the greatest story in sports, but we love sports.
Yes.
People who don't love sports, I feel sorry for them. What do they do with this kind of emotion? What do they do? Where do they experience this? You can't find this in fiction.
I don't have a good answer.
And when you find it in fiction, you know it's happening. You're like, oh, I know where this story's going to go. That little guy's going to be the king, and it's all predictable. But in football, it's not.
No.
It was
great.
It's just, you know what? Historical thing happened this night in this game. Your boy went 10-0.
Oh, you did go 10-0 with that weekend
against the spread, and this game
that was week 10
over the top.
Week 10, he went 10-0. That's what I'm talking about.
Gave out 10 picks, gave out 10 winners. I've been betting way longer than I've been 21. Okay, and I've never come close to go. I've had perfect weekends, but there were weekends like an NFL playoff weekend where there are 4 games. Yeah. And then the next week there's 2 games. I've gone 4-0 before. You know,
Never gone 10-0.
I've never come close. I've never come close to going 10-0. I might have weekends where I've won 10 games. I might have made 30 bets that week. No, I made 10 bets. I gave them out publicly. This game, that night,
Oh, yeah.
I watched.
You thought I had jinxed you.
I stressed out. I didn't like it. It was a roller coaster. But you're right. That's the best. That was the best game of the weekend.
Oh, best game of the year.
Sorry, of the year.
Of the season.
Yes.
Of the
season. That's the number one.
Now, we did not include bowl games in here. Otherwise,
No.
we might would have put like the Cure Bowl. We might would have put, there's a
few bowls, but not many, man.
No,
These games,
the bowl
because
games were
the
not
bowl
that
games
entertaining.
because you don't know what team it matters for and what team it doesn't.
Yeah.
So even if you get a great game, but one team showed up with a bunch of backups and didn't practice all weekend.
Like Georgia-Cincinnati, that was a fun game.
It was a fun game.
That was a great game.
That was a fun game, but it wasn't Cincinnati UCF good.
No. It was
It wasn't the best game Georgia played all year. It might have been the funnest game Georgia played all year. Georgia didn't have a lot of fun games.
Yeah, Georgia was either getting whipped or
beating somebody
pretty bad. So, no, I mean the Cure Bowl I think was the best bowl game, and that was Liberty and Coastal Carolina.
That's it. And there was a couple other good games.
Yeah, there were some
the
other good
A&M
ones.
the A&M UNC game was
that was pretty good.
Game. But yeah, I think our 20 best games of the year.
I think so as well. If you have some other ones, of course, toss them down into the comments. We would like to hear other opinions, of course. These were just our thoughts on it, but toss in your favorite game of the season as well. Before we get out of here, quick recruiting update, because obviously I believe this show will be live on National Signing Day, so we're going to roll through right quick the, what do you call it? The 2021, I guess, current top 10. So, as of Monday night when we were recording, Alabama at number 1, Ohio State 2, number 3 Georgia, number 4 LSU, number 5 Clemson, 6 Oregon, 7 Texas A&M, number 8 USC, number 9 Notre Dame, and number 10 Oklahoma. Oklahoma, pay attention to them. They have kind of decided, hey, you know what, we're not going to take a whole lot of high school guys in this class because we haven't had them come out and visit because we haven't been able to, like the COVID protocols and whatnot. We can't do that. So they're just taking a bunch of dudes from Tennessee that decided to transfer out. They got 3 of the guys from Tennessee to transfer over to Norman, and they got some other transfers coming in. But why would I take a risk on a high school guy just based off of potential when I can take a guy that I already know is worth something in college, that already knows how to practice, already knows how to take it serious? So pay attention to Oklahoma with that. No team since Oklahoma in 2000 has won a national championship without 2 top 10 recruiting classes in the prior 4 years leading up to that national championship season. Oklahoma, the last one. Now, you've got options. We'll talk about this next week once we get the final tally, of course. But recruiting does matter. We'd like to talk about all the different guys that develop, the 2-star that turns into an NFL draft pick, first rounder, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Justin Jefferson. Rookie
There you
of the
go.
year.
It is a lot of fun, but recruiting still matters.
Yeah.
So, we will discuss eventually should transfers be included in recruiting rankings, and I think they absolutely should. But either way, JT Tuimoloau, hoping again I say that right, that is the guy to pay attention to. Will he go to Ohio State or Alabama or Clemson or LSU or da-da-da? I mean, all the big dogs are in on him.
Well, so when you said his name, I was trying to see, could I get an enunciation? Looked him up. The 247 had Alabama, Ohio State 1, Alabama 2, and then it had 3 Pac-12 schools. Oregon, USC,
Oh, for him because he's from
Washington.
Because he's from Washington.
But it didn't have Clemson, didn't have LSU, didn't have Georgia.
It's got Ohio State number 1 for him, right?
Ohio State 1, Bama 2, and the other 3 were in that order.
That is interesting.
I know he's from out west. But
we all believe
if you're the best player in the world in high school and you stay in the West, I guess that's what they need, though, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody out there probably they're desperate to land him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Corey Foreman, who was projected to go to Clemson, decommitted from Clemson. He was the first kid in the Dabo Swinney era to decommit from Clemson, and now he's committed, signed already with USC. He's going to stay out in California. But other than that, I mean, there's not a single Pac-12 team that's got a top 10 player. But I don't know. Oregon is the surprise here. Oregon does have those 2 top 10 finishes. You know, pay attention to what Mario Cristobal and that bunch are doing. But yeah, we'll talk a lot more about this next season once we actually have not next season, next week, once we have the final tally, the final results, all that kind of stuff. Because there's a lot of stuff that can change. You know, you never know what's going to happen. But is there anything else we should hit on? Nope. Leave your comments. Please, please, please. We would love to hear your favorite games, your thoughts on the Nick Saban video, who you would like to see a recruiting pitch from that's leaked from wherever. I know that there are a lot of good ones out there. I want to hear what you have to say. Of course, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you like the video, share it out, tell your friends about it. Come back here every single week. We are going to have a good time all the time. We can pretty much guarantee that, I think. So, you can always follow us on Twitter. I'm at Gary WCE.
I'm at Crispy Giannini.
And you can always find us over at sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. With that said, for sportsbookreview.com, I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And we will see you again next week.